When children are raised in an environment where safety was not modeled, they didn't build strong connections, it shows up. These things have much lasting effects and impacts than we care to acknowledge. And so when children are raised that way, they grow up thinking like they have to work hard for an affection. They have to earn it. They have to, jump through hoops and to get approval. And this always shows up when it's time to get into relationship. So, according to Judith, when you meet someone who triggers that same emotional pattern of, that pattern of controlling, unpredictability, emotionally absent, the body may mistake that stress or that trigger as a spark, as something attractive in the other person. Now let's talk much deeper on trauma bonding behaviors or how to identify it. And this may apply more to folks that are already in relationship, that are already in a romantic relationship. It shows up sometimes as what is called love bombing. At the beginning of the relationship, the one partner showers the other partner with excessive love, attention, praise. They create an intense emotional connection and a sense of specialness. It's almost like, oh, they're mean to every other person, but they're always nice to you. They do things for you that they would normally not do for other people. And then it creates that sense of you're special, you're unique, you're the only one they can trust, you're the only one they can open up to. And that is a key sign. It's actually a red flag, to be honest, because when you're in a relationship with someone, you want to see their true self. And if you're the only person in the world that they are nice to, then that's probably not their true self showing up. So that's what's called love bombing. Intense emotional connection and an excessive sense of specialness or uniqueness. Another key indicator is what they call rapid trust and dependency. Now, that partner quickly builds trust and tries to make their partner emotionally or even financially dependent. When you hear things like, I had a rough childhood, this is how I grew up, I've never really been able to talk about it with anyone. You're talking to a 35-year-old person and they're saying, of all these 35 years, you're the first person they're able to, discuss this with, and all of those kind of things. They are pushing the relationship forward in an unusually fast pace, almost in a means to, like, almost intending to gaslight, the other party into commitment. So you'd say to yourself, oh, they've really opened up to me. They're really looking up to me. Oh, I create this sense of calm and peace when they're around me. That's not an ideal. And you really will be setting up yourself for a lot of heartbreak, and in your ability to build a stable relationship. Another key attributes of trauma bonding would look like criticism and evaluation. Now it's a process. It's a psychological process. So you're showered with excessive love or you're drawn in emotionally. And then it starts with devaluation. So once you are secured, in the dependency web, then the other party starts to criticize and devalue their partner. They cause the victim, to doubt themselves and seek validation from the abuser. And that's why you see people in abusive relationship and you're almost like, what is going on here? And sometimes these folks are very smart, they're super intelligent, but they've been caught in the web. They've been drawn in. Now they're emotionally invested. They cannot just see a way back. And you talk to people, they say something like, oh, we've gone too far. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like you've gone too far. As long as you have your life and you have breath, you can always come out of abusive relationship by seeking, help when you need it. Another thing is isolation. In this kind of trauma bonding that is sometimes mistaken for love, the victim is always isolated. You're cut off from friends. Suddenly they don't get him. So, you can't see them again, or they don't get me, they don't like me, so you cannot see them again. You cannot have relationship outside of this one that you have already. It's a red flag. And you see, the reason why we're talking about trauma bonding vis-a-vis affinity bias or confirmation bias is because bias sometimes blinds you to see these key attributes of trauma bonding that we're sharing. So you do have to be on your toes. And I've said from the very first video that the best way is to be very clear on what you're going for and why you're going for it. But of course, bias is in it, and we just need to be very much aware of it. And so it's important, identify these things. And if you're in a relationship that is looking like it, you're not planted there. Like my coach will say, you're not a tree. Walk away. Walk away. You've not done anything wrong. Yes, you've had a lapse in judgment, but you've not done anything wrong. Move on and get rid of that toxic relationship. So let's look back to HR. We always hire, we started with HR, hiring the familiar, looking for people that fit, that would be a culture fit or a team fit. And we always run into the same problem. Fit, we think that fit means harmony. Once they come in old, I enjoy their conversation. But at the back of that is we're looking for people that will not question us, that will not push back, that will be agreeable at all times, that would, not disturb us. They would help us to stay within our comfort zone. That's not how to build profitable relationship, and it's same for HR as it is in life. So maybe you click because your nervous system recognizes their pattern, not because your soul does. And this is where discernment is a thing, and knowledge is a thing, ability to distinguish between, let me say it this way. I teach my kids, I say, if you are trying to make a decision, there are 3 steps you go through. First of all, ask, is it good? Being good or bad is the least of the criteria for decision making. So you ask yourself, is it good? If you check yes, fine. Then you ask, is it good for me? If you check yes, okay. The final question is it good for me now? Because there is a good for me, which is acceptable, and there's a good for me now, which is a perfect place to be, given your season and the context of your own unique experiences. So just finally on trauma bonding, it comes from the human need for safety and belonging. And sometimes we look for safety in the wrong places. And this also speaks to how you keep friends, the kind of people you keep around you, the kind of information you consume, the kind of thoughts that you are allowed to stay, in your mind, that you give attention to. This also impacts. So what can you do? Now, like I said, you cannot eliminate bias. You can only identify and manage it. And you cannot erase trauma overnight. And let me call it out. If you've been through trauma, I feel at some point or the other, in some shade of form, everyone has been through trauma. It's important that you get help to manage it and to heal through it. So in HR, we train leaders, to do a couple of things. First, we tell them to acknowledge it, acknowledge the bias, name it when it shows up. And then another thing they do is slow the decision. Now, how can you slow decision making? Add structure, not just feelings. Add structure to the process. Make your process reliable. Put in checks. And then finally, seek perspective. Invite others to check your blind spots. Let them call out what you might have missed in the process. Now, if we apply these 3 things to dating, this is what it's going to look like. When you feel drawn to someone, instantly ask, what about them feels familiar? Once you answer that, you can then say, is this clouding other things? What other things am I ignoring because of this one thing that that is fueling the connection? Now, before you label that connection or that attraction as a connection, first wait and ask, is this comfort? Is this alignment? Is this familiar? And if your friend or, your circle or your a mentor, raises a flag about this person, listen. It doesn't mean that they will be right, but at least they give you more ammunition to test your decision, because they see, sometimes people around us see patterns before we do. because clarity is kindness. And when you understand your bias, you're able to protect yourself and you're able to protect your heart from repeating old mistakes. So here's your HR and your last relationship. Write it down or, jot down what felt familiar about the person, or the dynamic. Then ask, was that familiarity healthy? Even if you're currently in a relationship, you can take this test. Is the familiarity healthy? And you can take those three decision-making steps that I shared. Is it good? Is it good for you? Is it good for you now? Is this what you really need? And there's no point of saying, oh, when I'm with this person, I feel secure, I feel at home, and all of those things. If it's a wrong house, if it's a wrong house, so yes, you should be safe. You should be happy in your relationship, but you must also be sure that you're checking your bias and your blind spot. So if this episode resonated with you, I wanted to share it with someone that is trying to start a new relationship or that is trying to unlearn old patterns, and move forward into their new spaces with more intention. And as always, do yourself a huge level of self-respect and be clear before getting into relationship. Now, thank you so much for being here with me today. If this has resonated with you, I'd like you to please like, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss any other episode. I'll be back to share more insights from the world of HR that you can apply to your relationship building. Take care.